I was playing my cousin Steve, and it's not that Steve is not smart, but he's not smart. And so I play this sort of small town thug. We live in Texas, and we go to rob a convenience store, I think it was, and my partner tells me to bring pantyhose to put over our heads, and I bring panty liners. And he was like, how are we gonna rob a store with panty liners? And I turn around and I put out eye holes. I have a panty liner with eye holes. So stupid. I laughed so hard making that movie. So much so, this was brought up on a panel yesterday, but I have to say this again. We laughed so hard that the president of the network, of the studio, called us and yelled at us. He was like, you cost us several $100,000 in unusable footage because you've been laughing. We laughed every day. And then nobody saw the movie. And they changed the title of it briefly. I think it was released to Stars before Stars was a thing. You know what I hate? Is Stars spelled S-T-A-R-Z? I hate it when they do that. When you put a Z for an S on the end of a word, you've lost me. But anyway, they released it and they changed it to Cowboys and Idiots instead of Low Star State of Mind. And then a bunch of people found it, and then they acted like it was a brand new movie, and then they tried to release it in theaters and nobody saw it, but they found it on DVD. They don't make DVDs anymore, so I think they found it on streaming or whatever. But anyway, what? You own 3 copies on DVD? Oh, that's awesome. Sadly, somebody came up to me recently and told me that they had the VHS of Road Trip, and I tried to pretend like it wasn't that old, but it certainly is that old. So what's your question?
So my question's going to go back to the days at Prada as a runway model.
Oh yeah, I did that.
You did do that.
Mm-hmm. So do you want me to tell you about that?
I would love to hear.
So I was living in England going to college, and so when I was 18 years old, I wanted to leave the South, right? I felt like, and now I want to come back to the South, and on my way to doing that, I'm moving back to Nashville, I think. But I wanted to leave the South, and so I got a book of colleges, and the University of London at King's College was the furthest away college that spoke English. So I applied, got in, and bounced. So I moved to England, and I didn't... American students can't live in British dorms, so I lived in a hostel for $13 American a day, and working at a Blockbuster Video. And so on Sundays, I would go to Leicester Square, that's the square near Piccadilly Circus, where all the premieres are, and all the posters for theaters. Are. And there was a pound movie theater there called the Prince Charles Theater. So I would watch a movie for £1, which is like $1.50 at the time, and then go to Haagen-Dazs right next to it and have a Haagen-Dazs, and that was my Sunday treat to myself. And so one day I was doing it, and I was there eating my Haagen-Dazs after like a matinee. It was like around, the sun was starting to set. And a man came up to me and said, hey, can I take your picture? And I'm like, I'm not gonna go home with you, man. This is not the lean of a hooker, this is the lean of a poor person. And he was like, no, my name is David LaChapelle, I'm a photographer, and I think you're interesting looking, and I would not have sex with you. And I was like, then I got my feelings hurt. So you thought I was a hooker, and I thought you thought I was a hooker, you did think I was a hooker, and it hurt my feelings. So that's where I was emotionally at that time. So he took a Polaroid of me and back then we didn't have cell phones. Did y'all know that we used to not have cell phones? We didn't have them. And so he had to call the hostel, and so his people called the hostel, and 2 weeks later I was flown to Milan to do a Prada ad. I know. And so then I got an agent and started, because back then they wanted people that looked like they were on drugs but weren't on drugs, so they would show up to work. You know what I mean? And there's an episode, I describe my modeling career like this. There was an episode of the Brady Bunch where Greg becomes a rock star because they had already bought this suit of clothes. That was what my career was like. It's like, well, we have this suit that nobody else can wear, but you can. And I'd be like, oh, I can wear this. Right? So I did it for 2.5 years. I paid for my college, and then moved back to America because I wanted to be an actor, and then wound up auditioning for a one-line part in Road Trip from the newspaper, and then with like 20 other dudes in a high school gym, wound up getting a lead, and 6 months later I was on The Tonight Show. So screw modeling, this is way better. But this is how superficial Hollywood is. My headshot, also one of the reasons why I booked Road Trip, was it was a tear from a magazine. It was like, oh, look, I've been in a magazine before. I mean, the photo looked nothing like me, but it was me. And now I'm here talking to you, all because of a man didn't hit on me in front of a Haagen-Dazs in whatever year makes me 38 today. I'm 38. So I'm actually not 38, but here's what happened recently. So when I first moved to Los Angeles, I did an interview for People magazine and didn't tell them my age, so they made up an age, which they just made one up based on how I looked, and it was much younger than I am. And then last year, I don't know if you know this, but BuzzFeed uses me for clickbait for a lot of stuff. Like, it's usually mean stuff. It's like trying to shame me about being gay or trying to shame me about being thin. It's like, or what terrible divorce I've gone through. I'm always clickbait. So about a year and a half ago, I was clickbait for what 20 celebrities couldn't go anywhere 20 years ago, trying to make it like I've lost my career and I'm hitting the skids. But they said I was 18, so 18 plus 28 is 38. So everybody said this to me thinking I'd be upset, and I'm like, they made me 38. I'm only 38. So right now, when you see my name in print, it better say DJ Qualls, 38. I'm much older than 38. But my goal is I've never had any plastic surgery yet, but I will. I've gotten stuff injected into my face. I'm just gonna tell it all. So I'm naturally gaunt, so I get filler here. I mean, but not often, like once a year. So I spend about $1,200. I get filler here and a little Botox here. I really do. And it has slowed down my aging process, but I haven't had any gray hair yet. I've got a couple on my beard. But anyway, I don't know why I'm telling you this. It's because yesterday my dermatologist sent me an ad that they're having a Black Cyber Monday sale on Botox. And I was like, first I was offended, and then I was like, that is a good deal. So, whatever's on my mind is gonna be on your mind, because I have no filter and I have to tell you things. So what's your name and your number? This is so stupid.
Way better answer than I did. My name is Daphne.
All right, Daphne, what's your guess?
I'm gonna go with 38, because it's considerably younger.
38, I love that, Daphne, 38. So, with the name Daphne was on Scooby-Doo, right?
Yeah.
Did you get that a lot growing up?
I did.
I had a crush on Velma, and from Natalie from Facts of Life. And I think it was because because Blair and Joe got all the attention, and Daphne got all the attention away from Velma. So I had crushes on both those people. It would have been a disappointing relationship for the ladies, so it's best that those things didn't work out. Hello there!